yourself. Don't take anything from anyone and never let them take you alive. Gerard Way. We could all learn a thing or two from my neurodivergent son. The daily phone calls from the school have become routine, yet each one brings with it a fresh wave of anxiety. My son, with his boundless energy and deep sensitivity, elopes again. He breaks away from the classroom, drawn to some unforeseen force, following an inner compass that seems to speak louder than the voices of his teachers or the structured rhythm of the day. To many, this behavior is frustrating, confusing, and even dangerous. But as his mother, I see something else. A boy whose instincts are alive, vibrant, and unfiltered by the expectations of the world around him. Autism is often characterized by a divergence from what society deems normal. It manifests in a myriad of ways: difficulty with social skills, challenges in communication, heightened sensitivity to stimuli that others seem to ignore. But to say that my son's eloping is merely a symptom of autism feels like it misses the essence of what's really happening. He's not just running away. He's responding to something profound within himself, something that most of us have long since tuned out: the voice of his own instincts. In a world that prioritizes conformity and predictability, my son's behavior stands out as disruptive. But in another light, it is also incredibly authentic. His actions, though unsafe, are an honest response to how his body and mind are interpreting the world around him. When the lights in the classroom flicker or the chatter of his peers becomes overwhelming, he doesn't calculate the appropriate way to react. Instead, he listens to the visceral signs his body is sending and acts accordingly. His eloping may be a way to escape, but it's also an unspoken truth about what it means to be in a body that experiences the world differently. As his mother, I wrestle with conflicting emotions. On the one hand, I am deeply concerned for his safety. What happens when he gets away from the teacher? What dangers await outside the boundaries of the school? The thought of him slipping through the cracks, both figuratively and literally, is a constant weight on my heart. In fact, thoughts of this kept me up all night while I should have been sleeping. But at the same time, there's something undeniably beautiful in his ability to tune into himself so deeply, to trust his instincts in a way that many of us have forgotten how to do. This duality is difficult to reconcile. Society expects children, especially those with autism, to be kept in line, to follow the rules, to conform to a certain standard of behavior. But what if the very thing that makes my son different is also his greatest strength? His hyper-awareness, his acute sensitivity, his instinctive responses, they're all a testament to the depth of his inner world. He is not bound by the social norms that dictate how others behave. Instead, he is fully present in his own body, responding authentically to the stimuli around him, even if those responses are misunderstood. Imagine for a moment if we all lived like this. If we all tuned into our instincts as naturally and unapologetically as my son does. How different would our lives be if we trusted our gut, acted on our impulses, and responded to the world around us with the same kind of honesty? What if instead of suppressing our feelings or second-guessing our actions, we allowed ourselves to truly listen to what our bodies and minds were telling us? Living authentically from a place of instinct requires a level of vulnerability and courage that many of us shy away from. It means acknowledging the parts of ourselves that are uncomfortable or inconvenient. It means stepping away from the safety of societal expectations and allowing our true selves to emerge, even if that self is messy, unpredictable, or difficult to understand. My son doesn't have the luxury of masking his true feelings or hiding behind social conventions. He is raw, real, and immediate in his responses to the world. And while this makes his behavior challenging at times, it's also a rare gift. There's something liberating about the idea of living a life untethered from the expectations of others. My son, in his own way, is already doing this. His actions are guided by an internal compass that is uniquely his own. He doesn't concern himself with how his behavior is perceived, nor does he feel the pressure to conform to societal norms. He simply is. And in a way, that's a kind of freedom that many of us spend our entire lives searching for. As adults, we've learned to ignore many of the signals that our bodies send us. We push through discomfort, we suppress our emotions, we follow the rules even when they don't serve us. But what if, like my son, we allowed ourselves to be guided by our instincts? What if we listened to our gut feelings and trusted them, even when they led us in unexpected directions? Living this way wouldn't be easy. It would require us to be more in tune with ourselves, more willing to acknowledge the discomfort and desires that we often push aside. But it could also lead to a deeper sense of fulfillment, a more authentic way of being in the world. My son's eloping, while problematic in the context of safety, is a reminder that there is value in listening to our instincts, in responding to the world in a way that is true to ourselves. Of course, there are practical considerations that must be addressed. My son's safety is paramount, and his behavior needs to be managed in a way that keeps him out of harm's way. But I can't help but wonder if there's a lesson to be learned here, not just for him, but for all of us. His eloping is a form of communication, a way of expressing something that words alone can't convey. It's a reminder that sometimes our bodies know things that our minds can't fully articulate. In a society that values logic and reason, it's easy to dismiss the power of instinct. But my son, in his own way, is teaching us all that there is wisdom in the body, in the gut feelings that we so often ignore. His ability to tune into himself, to respond to external stimuli in a way that is true to his experience, is something I admire deeply and want to impart upon you. It's a reminder that authenticity, while not always convenient, is a powerful voice. I'm not suggesting that we all start eloping from our responsibilities or ignoring the rules of society. But I do think there's value in paying attention to the signals our bodies are sending us. Too often, we dismiss our instincts as irrational or unimportant, when in reality, they are a vital part of who we are. My son may not have the social skills to navigate the complexities of human interaction, but he has something equally valuable, a deep connection to himself and an unfiltered response to the world around him. As I navigate the challenges of keeping him safe, I also find myself reflecting on what it means to live authentically. What would it look like if we all tapped into our instincts and allowed them to guide us, even when it meant going against the grain? How might our lives change if we trusted ourselves more, if we listened to the subtle cues that our bodies and minds are constantly sending us? Perhaps, in some small way, my son's eloping is a metaphor for the larger human experience. We are all, in some sense, running from discomfort, from fear, from the expectations of others. But what if instead of running away, we ran towards something? What if we embraced the parts of ourselves that we've been taught to suppress and allowed our instincts to lead us to a place of greater authenticity and awareness? In the end, my son's journey is his own, and my role as his mother is to support him, guide him, and keep him safe. But I also want to honor the parts of him that are uniquely his. The instincts, the sensitivities, the unspoken truths that make him who he is. In doing so, I'm reminded that there is beauty in living a life that is true to oneself, even when the truth is difficult to understand. So I challenge you today, live authentically. Trust your instincts even when the world tells you otherwise. And most importantly, follow the inner compass that knows the way, even when the path isn't clear. To your success. Peace and blessings, Dr. O.